Go. Hey, welcome back, guys. Welcome back. You're watching Cam and Dan live. I'm Daniel Kamalo, live here from Birmingham.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? We back at it like crack addicts, man. Let's get into it, man. Yo,
Had a
so
great week of fights. We had the WBA and the IBF super lightweight champion Josh Taylor was in action in Great Britain, in London, and defending his crown against a Thai competitor, a mandatory competitor. And then over across the states in the Mohegan Sun in Newcastle, Connecticut, you had the two brothers going at it, not against each other, but you had Jermall Charlo, the world's middleweight champion, against Sergiy Derevyanchenko, and his younger brother, Jermell Charlo, going up against Jason Rosario for the unified super welterweight championships. Cam, you took a look at the Josh Taylor fight. Tell me about the Josh Taylor fight.
yeah, a fight that you should have watched. But anyway, it's over in your country. You should have watched it. But
I was watching Costa versus Adesanya. What was it like?
It was quick. it was quick. I mean, it was a body shot, and he dropped a left hook to the body, put him right in the right, right side of the rib in that real soft spot, and he dropped and went down. So I mean, it's gonna still giving us the talks about him fighting Josh Taylor fighting Jose Ramirez, hopefully later on this year or the beginning of 2021, because that will unify for that. The junior welterweight titles, with Josh Taylor having the WBA and the IBF, Jose Ramirez having the WBA, the WBC, and the WBO belt. So we could get to see another unification in that division, and we haven't had that since the great Terrence Crawford.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, absolutely. And Josh Taylor for this fight, he said that he was expecting to knock him out. He said he wanted to knock him out and that he could, but did he think he was going to get in the first round? I don't think so. But it just came.
Nah, and the way he was talking about his opponent Kung Sung, who's from Thailand, they were saying that this guy was a big, strong guy, power in both hands and everything like that. But it didn't last that long for us to get to see it.
It didn't. He say, I ain't gonna give you the chance. He said, I'm not gonna give you a chance.
No overtime over here, man.
Now I like Josh Taylor. I'm a fan of Josh. I've been a fan of Josh Taylor for a few months. When he had the situation with O'Hara Davis, I was on the side of O'Hara Davis.
When Davis got beat by him, got his behind.
When O'Hara Davis suffered a setback at the hands of Josh Taylor,
whooped.
I was a fan. I was a fan of. I'm a fan of him now. I'm a fan of him now, and I feel like the things he's able to do and can be able to do moving forward, it's just going to be great. I think if he beats Jose Ramirez, and unifies, becomes the undisputed WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO lineal Ring Magazine World Super Lightweight Champion, he will become the first fighter in Great Britain to become the undisputed world champion. Especially to hold 4 belts. You can say Lennox Lewis did it.
I was about to say.
Yeah, Lennox Lewis did it with 3 belts. And Lennox Lewis, obviously, Canadian British. Josh Taylor is strictly British, Scottish and Scottish, and so I feel like for him, to be homegrown like that, it would be a big thing. It certainly solidified himself as the greatest Scottish fighter ever. And so a lot of respect to Josh Taylor, and I hope he wins. I hope he beats Jose Ramirez.
I say he beats Jose Ramirez.
But it's good though. It's good as we move forward now. We're getting a lot of unification matches. We're getting a lot of unification fights, and getting ready to talk about it. The next unification fight that we had was Jermell Charlo.
Yeah.
Jermell Charlo, who was the WBC super welterweight champion, who was against who fought and beat Jason Rosario, who was the IBF and WBA champion. Jason Rosario was the one with the stunning upset over Julian J. Rock Williams, who he did a stunning upset over Jared Swift Hurd. And so I say my take on that fight was, you know, Jermell was great. Jermell did what he did, and Jermell coming from the last to Tony Harrison and learning and getting better. He was much better in that fight. But don't forget, Jason Rosario was also great in that fight. Jason Rosario was like what you said. He was giving it the big and he was giving it the big fight. He wasn't scared. He wasn't scared of him, maybe cautious of his shots, but he was going in there. He was trying to do his best, to land his shots and coming forward as well. But the skill level of Jermell Charlo, the experience of Jermell Charlo, and the power put it together, it made him the super world super welterweight champion, because now he holds 3 belts. He is the super champion.
Well, he knocked Rosario down in the first round, and to me, I thought it was a slippage until they showed the replay.
Yeah.
It was a slap. I mean, he hit him, and while he was going down, so of course they counted it as a knockdown. But Rosario wasn't really phased by it. But the one in the 6th round, when he caught him, and here's the thing that I watched about Jermell that I kind of didn't like. Early in the fight, he was like literally loading up and swinging for the fences, and Rosario was seeing it and kept ducking.
Yeah.
They were in an exchange in the 6th round, and Rosario pulled back. And when he pulled straight back, that's when he got caught with that left hook and a straight right. And that's when he got dropped. And I didn't think he even recovered after that, even though he looked like he did. He didn't recover too strong. And then that jab to the body that in the 8th round to stop the fight. He threw the jab to the head, and then he threw the jab to the head and a strong jab to the body. And when I looked at it, it was kind of like when he fought Lucas, and I was like, man, he ain't hit him that hard. And then when they showed the replay in slow motion, that was a hard jab. Like when he hit him with
hard jab, yeah.
With the jab, he curled over like fried shrimp. He hit him, and then he went straight down, and then he looked like he was starting to have a seizure after that. I'm just like, yo, he did in the beginning, like when it just happened, I was like, he didn't hit him that hard. Come on, man. And then when they showed it in slow motion and different angles and from
where it was, yeah.
But your point about Jermell being the unified champ, holding 3 belts, and a lot of people saying that he is the unified champ.
Yeah,
I want to disagree with what people are saying. I want to agree to disagree, because he only holds 3 belts and not the 4th belt, which is the WBO, which Patrick Teixeira has.
Yeah.
But
who beat Jaime Mangoa?
Nah, he didn't beat him. Jaime, he vacated and went up to 160.
To go up to middleweight. You're right.
And then Teixeira run it, but I don't want to see Teixeira fight Charlo. That's like a waste of time. It's the thought of it, just even talking about it, is like a waste of time.
It's necessary. It's necessary, though. It's kind of like the Manny Pacquiao, not the Manny Pacquiao, the Terrence Bud Crawford, Jeff Horn situation. He's got the championship belt, and if you want to do it, he's the unified champion. He's just not the undisputed.
Yeah, but I want him to be undisputed. But and that fight is not that fight. It doesn't excite me. It doesn't excite me, and a lot of people don't even talk about Patrick Teixeira because nobody even know who he is.
You know who he is? Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Even though he's a champion, nobody knows who he is. But I don't know. What do you think is going to be next for Jermell?
I think next for Jermell, they're going to try to get that fight. It should be easy enough because, politically and operationally, there aren't any barriers, And so it's a fight that has to happen, if he wants to get all 4 belts. So I'd say within August next year, Jermell Charlo will become the undisputed world super welterweight champion. I say that. And, he's got, and even with that, he's got a lot of, other competitors and other fighters. He can have a great fight against Erislandy Lara if Lara's still with the shit. What I'm saying? Sorry, pardon my
cool. Yeah.
If by that I mean obviously as Lara's getting on in ages and getting on in time, can he be great enough to fight Jermell Charlo? We'll see, but that's a great fight that can happen. And internally within Premier Boxing Champions, he can fight Taro, maybe not Taro, but he beat Erickson Lubin, right? 'Cause I can't
Yeah,
remember.
they said Erickson Lubin when he fought Gershey and beat Gershey, that Erickson Lubin is gonna be the next for the WBC, the next for mandatory.
Well, it will happen. They can run it. You know what? They can run it back. And what's good about this fight is that, what happened to Lubin, it happened very, very early. So maybe hoping that Lubin has learned from that, maybe it might become a different result. You don't think? I still see a Charlo win, but I maybe see a Lubin improvement. You know what I'm saying? It won't be as, you know, you don't see it?
I would give. I mean, he's next and he's mandatory.
Yeah.
So of course I think there's 3 fights that could happen for Charlo next, and it would be Teixeira, which I know nobody would really want to see. Lubin and Lara, like those are the three fights. I would rather see him fight Lubin over Teixeira, and I would rather see him fight Lara over Lubin.
Yeah, over everyone.
And I
But like,
if it was I mean, Lara has a skill set, but I don't know if he has the power to keep Charlo off of him. So that's going to be the problem for Lara, But we'll see. We'll see, man.
You're right. We'll see. And I feel like the fight with Teixeira has to happen in a capacity where it's, how quick the rematch happened with White and Povetkin. It's one of those things. It's one of those things that's just gonna have to be negotiated quickly, done quickly, and get it out of the way. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like that's gonna. We're in September, October, in October. So if it can happen even in January, and then in the rest of 2021, we can get other big things happening. You know what I'm saying? We get big things cracking. Maybe a fight between Lara and Charlo. I think Lara versus Charlo is a big fight that I see happening. Maybe even on pay-per-view. It can even happen.
That's a pay-per-view. That's a pay-per-view fight. But there's still other guys out there. You still got Hurd out there. You still got
I
mean, Harrison will have to build his way back up, but he's still out there. You still got Julian Williams out there. Like the 154 is stacked.
Stacked, yeah.
And the one thing, and that's I think, to me, I'm gonna say right now, one of the best divisions, for the simple fact that all the top fighters fought each other.
Yeah. No, you're right. There's are there any outsiders from outside PBC who are high at 154?
There's one guy. He beat Nathan Gallimore earlier this year. 6'6" guy, man. They call him the Towering Inferno, but I can't remember his name. I remember his nickname, but I can't remember his actual name. I'll find it and put it in the comment section myself.
Got you. But that's the Godfather, the boss of bosses, has a great hold on the super welterweight division, and so a lot of those guys are mixing into it. But with Jermell Charlo being the current king, de facto king of the super welterweights, his older brother is now about to try and claim his stake to become king of the middleweights. So Jermall Charlo beat Sergiy Derevyanchenko. Tell us about that fight, Ken.
Jermall's jab was on point.
Absolutely. Quick as well.
A good majority of the fight, because in the 6th round and the 8th round, Derevyanchenko started coming on, and I think that was his downfall, because he comes on late in the fight, and he did it against Triple G. He did it against Daniel Jacobs, and I was really impressed with Charlo, with Jermall's performance. It was just out of this world. I mean, with the exception of the 6th and the 8th round, and I'm not gonna put it on him, but I'm just gonna say that, he fought against a formidable opponent, and Derevyanchenko found his way to get in. But if he would have did that a little bit earlier in the fight, he probably would have had a little bit more success. I still think he probably would have lost the fight, because Charlo was on top of his game. He stayed on the outside. He used that jab he used the jab. Everything you're supposed to use a jab for is exactly what he used his jab for. He used it as a rangefinder. He used it to keep him off of him. He used it for his defense. He used it to set up his offense. He used that jab for everything.
Everything.
And in that third round, Jesus, man, he hit Sergiy with something crazy. Like Sergiy did the salt and pepper dance without touching the floor. He got low and everything, but he just ain't touched the floor. I'm like, yo, and I gotta give Sergiy, some credit too, because he was getting hit with some shots, and he was able to withstand it and not go down.
And he hung there. Yeah.
And I think I want to say in the 8th round he hit Jermall with something with a left hook, I believe, something serious, because he had him up against the rope, and Jermall felt that, and then he grabbed him real quick, like, oh, wait a minute. He grabbed him real quick, and he held on. But I'm very impressed with Charlo, and
same.
And
see, I'm impressed with both of them. I'm so impressed with both of them.
And the one thing that both of those guys are not getting credit for is their chin, because even in that fight against I want to go back to Jermell, he got rocked by Rosario too.
He did, he did.
And he held, like, he had to grab on for a little bit, like, whoa, hold on, wait a minute. Got his composure. And matter of fact, it was the 6th round, the same round where he knocked him down. He got hit. He got hit with a left hook.
And you know what I like about what I like about both of them is kind of like they're able to silence critics. You know what I'm saying? They're very successful. You know what I mean? Because now it's not like a hype. Now, because before, the Charlos haven't really taken those quote unquote hard fights or quote unquote competitive fights. You know what I'm saying? Right. Now, as they take these fights, they've come up against top contenders, hard contenders, with Lubins and Julian Williams and this and that. But now, and even the Tony Harrisons. But now, Sergiy Derevyanchenko, a top 5 middleweight. Jason Rosario, the guy who beat Julian Williams, a champion. Now I feel like they're really getting up there. And I feel like, obviously, we talked about Jermell becoming the undisputed world's super welterweight champion. What can Jermall do in the future now? Where can he go? As right now, he's the WBC champion. Saul Canelo Alvarez is the franchise WBC champion and is the WBA middleweight champion. Triple G is the IBF, and so I think Canelo's the WBO as well. And so No, it's not. It's vacant.
Demetrius Andrade is the WBO.
Demetrius Andrade, that's right. Demetrius Andrade. Wow, it's interesting. So we've got the 4 belts. We got Canelo WBA, Charlo WBC, Gennady Gennadievich Golovkin is IBF, and Demetrius Andrade is WBA, and Canelo's the Ring Magazine as well. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see, because he can have. Is now we're getting into the politics of it, because all these champions are scattered around, But I say it's interesting. All the other champions are very competitive fights, pay-per-view worthy fights, and fights that the boss of bosses might not look to entertain for a little while. You know what I mean?
None of them guys want to fight Charlo.
I say Triple G can fight Charlo.
He can, but he don't want to fight him.
He should.
Let me tell you something. For the past, this goes back to when Jermall was back at 154. Both him and Jermell wanted to fight Canelo when Canelo was at 154. See, the problem with the Charlos is not the fact that they don't want the big fights. They want the big fights, but the other fighters don't want to fight them. When Hurd had the belts, he didn't want to fight Jermall. I mean, he didn't want to fight Jermell. When he beat Lara, Jermell was there from the press conference to the post conference in the hotel. Like, he wanted that fight. Jared Hurd didn't want that fight. Jermall wanted Canelo when he first moved up to 160. Canelo didn't want that fight.
How do you see a Canelo-Charlo fight going?
Charlo winning 12 rounds.
12 rounds, okay. Through 12 rounds, okay.
He's gonna Canelo. I mean, I I'm not going to discredit Canelo. Canelo can box, but I think Charlo's going to stay on the outside just like he did with Derevyanchenko. He's what 5'8". Charlo's about 6'1", 6', 6'1". He has a long reach. He's going to stay on the outside and jab all night and find his shots. I mean,
Gotcha.
Canelo can make it a little bit more interesting. And I don't want to go back to one thing about the Jermall and Derevyanchenko fight. I was a little bit disappointed in Derevyanchenko because when he fought Triple G, he used a lot of angles against Triple G. He would use his jab and then angle off to the left or angle off to the right. In this fight against Charlo, he stayed right in front of Charlo.
Yeah.
And made the fight harder than it should have been for himself.
Yeah, for himself. Yeah. And you're right about the Canelo situation. I don't know if right now though, you know, the size disparity is there and the range disparity is there, but is the skill disparity is there, but on the favor of Canelo though this time. I think right now, every time I see Canelo, I just see him as probably the best fighter in the world in terms of putting everything together. His chin, his defense, his skills, and his IQ. He is like his power and his power. Don't forget his power. His defense, his speed, his power, and his IQ. If you put, I think to myself, other than and maybe even better than Lomachenko, pound for pound, I say maybe not
Canelo?
ranking wise, but I say pound for pound in terms of. I say he is the best fighter in the world, the most rounded fighter, but not just well-rounded that he can do a little bit of everything, well-rounded that he can do those little bit of those everythings highly. He can do a lot of everything, you know, and I just see, like for a Mexican fighter, Mexicans are built, keep in mind, he's been at this since he was about 9 years old. You know, Mexicans are built on aggression, non-stop aggression, like your friend Leo Santa Cruz, you know, they're built on aggression and non-stop throwing your hands. You know, Canelo is a hybrid of the American defense style, the Eastern European disciplinary style, and the Mexican power. It's just he's effing phenomenal right now, Canelo Alvarez, and I would not want to be in the middleweight division trying to fight him. You know what I'm saying? And I don't see him having a lot of weaknesses. That's the worst. That's the worst part. Because if you are Charlo and you try to keep him off you with your jab, he can roll down under and go to the body, and his body work is beautiful, you know. And his defense, you even see you talked about the size disparity, and you know how tall Dan Jacobs is, and you just see him just, you know, ducking and beeping and bopping off his jabs and going on the inside and doing his thing, you know. I just say, you know, the first GGG fight, I say maybe Canelo was scared of Triple G and was very, very cautious of his power. That's why, that's why he didn't engage as much as he should. But right now, I just don't see anyone beating Canelo until he's past his prime, you know. And it sucks that he hasn't been able to prove that in a high capacity, you know, because of obviously, you know, because of the politics and everything. But, you know, I love Charlo. You know, and I like the Houston boys, you know what I'm saying? I'm a Houston boy, and I like Errol Spence Jr. You know, I like Daryl Morley, and I like Mark Cuban and the Dallas Mavericks. And so, oh, no, that's Dallas. But
Dallas.
That's Dallas. Yeah, I'm a Texas boy, you know what I'm saying? And so with everything in that, you know, Jerry Jones and everything, the Dallas Cowboys, with everything in that capacity, I say Canelo Alvarez will beat all the line, will beat Andre, Gennady, if there's a third fight, and Charlo.
I want to say this, that pound for pound list, I'm not too much of a fan of the pound for pound list, but I would put Canelo number one. For the simple fact that when you look at his resume, which everybody likes to talk about, of who he has fought and who he hasn't fought, Canelo has fought a lot of big names.
Yeah.
Like he's fought Floyd Mayweather, even though he lost. And I think that after he fought Floyd Mayweather, that's when his skill level went to a whole nother
level. Yeah.
He fought Floyd Mayweather. He fought Sugar Shane Mosley. He fought Lara, even though I thought he lost to Lara. He fought Lara. He fought Austin Trout. He's fought James Kirkland. He fought James Kirkland when James Kirkland was knocking everybody out. Knocked him out.
Yeah.
He fought Miguel Cotto. He fought Sergey Kovalev.
Yeah.
He fought Triple G twice.
Yeah.
That's
Amir
9.
Khan. Amir Khan.
You really
It's
want?
still a big.
It's a
No one
big
put a
name.
no,
It's a big name, but
no
you
one
really
put a
would.
gun
Oh, time
up
out,
to
time out.
Amir
Hold,
Khan's
hold.
head and say go to middleweight.
Wait, exactly. So you really want to count that? I mean, that's a big name, but you really want to a welterweight versus a middleweight? You really want to? You really want to
No
go
one
there?
put a gun. No one put a gun on Amir Khan's head and say go to middleweight. He chose to go to middleweight. He had the opportunity to make. And keep in mind, it wasn't full middleweight. It was 155 pounds.
Amir Khan. All right, I'll put it. Amir Khan. All right, if I had, but you want to know what though? If I could like have like a
Danny
put a half a
Jacobs.
finger, if I could put a
Yeah.
half a finger, I would put Amir Khan up. And he fought Daniel Jacobs, and I mean, he fought a couple of some not lesser opponents, but like that's just like that's a Hall of Fame resume right there. So I believe
Absolutely.
he should be pound for pound king, even though I'm not a fan of the pound for pound list.
Mm.
But he needs to fight either Charlo or he needs to fight Demetrius Andre. The Triple G is like been there, done that. If he fight him again, if he fight Triple G again, I think it'll be another 12-round butt whooping.
Yeah.
Like the first fight. If he
Yeah.
fights Triple G, it'll be like that again. But Triple G and Canelo, since they fought each other twice already, I mean, you do want the trilogy to end it. One of them needs to fight Charlo, and the other one needs to fight Demetrius
Andre, yeah, you're right. You're right. Now, hopefully it happens. This year has been interesting. But you know what? I will say something though. To close it off as we go into 2021. There's still some great fights up. Coming. I'm not closing the year off already, but what the promoters have been able to do and the configurations they've been able to make despite this virus, I would say, hats off to them. Hats off to them for for putting in that work and from Eddie Hearn with the fight camp. Frank Warren at the BT Studios, and the boss of bosses, Al Heyman, from the Mohegan Sun Arena and the Microsoft Theater, and even the old man at Top Rank,
Yeah,
they've been able
out
to
in
do.
Vegas.
And so hopefully in 2021 they've been able to do those things individually. Hopefully this time they can bring them together to make it much more competitive and to make great competitive fights and do good things.
So some news to bring. I was reading I want to say it was Ring Magazine. Oh God, I forgot. I should have wrote it down. But Devin Haney will not be fighting Gary Russell Jr.
Oh, thank God. Whew, thank God.
What you mean, thank God? That fight needs to happen.
No, it does not need to happen.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't need to happen.
Well, anyway, he'll be fighting Gamboa November 7th.
Okay, all right.
He'll be fighting Gamboa November 7th. The deals didn't go through between the two guys, but they do say they have said they still want to fight, hopefully in 2021.
2021, got you. I don't want it. It's not necessary, and a featherweight who's barely a featherweight who can probably make super bantamweight. I feel like and Devin Haney, a lightweight who can probably be a super lightweight. I feel like it's not, the size disparity is just too much, too evident. I feel like it just doesn't need to happen. You know what I'm saying? But I feel bad for him that, Gary Russell's career is at a place where he's entertaining fighting these guys,
And that's why the fight needs to happen, because Gary Russell Jr. him and the Charlos are being ducked by all the bigger names.
Yeah.
Leo Santa Cruz, Carl Frampton, Abner Mares. He wants your boy over there, not Josh Taylor, Josh Warrington.
You think Josh Warrington isn't duck? Josh Warrington doesn't duck anyone. No, maybe that fight is not happening. But it's funny you say that, because I was gonna say it should be Warrington versus Jr. Russell Jr. for the WBC IBF Unified World Featherweight Championship. I feel
Yeah.
like that can happen. I feel like it's also the management. But you know what? I say, screw it. If you want me to fight Devin Haney, I say $9 million or nothing. You know, $9 million or nothing.
I mean,
10. If I don't get mine, I'm. You know, like Adrian Broner said.
yeah, go ahead, Adrian.
I'm twin.
Go ahead, Adrian.
I'm twin.
Yeah, man. But
Yeah.
that's all. Like, I mean, I kind of feel bad for Gary because he hasn't had that. I mean, he had the big name with Lomachenko, and then he
Mhm.
wanted the rematch. That didn't go through. So now
Mhm.
he's just been.
He fought Jojo Diaz, which was good, you know, and he got $1.6 million for that fight, which is, you know, it's good to supplement, you know, his income. And at least, you know what I'm saying, he ain't broke as a world champion. But yeah, yeah.
Anyway, man, go ahead, close us out, Dan.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us, man. Thank you guys for joining us in this broadcast, and we will be back very momentarily, very soon, live and here, coming down live. Thank you guys. Peace.
All right, man. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, hit the like button, share, and leave comments down below. And we gone.
Yeah.